Romania is a land of 1,000 faces. The crossing point between the Occident and the Orient, and a melting pot of different cultures. It is also a country unlike any other in Europe. With over 60% of the Carpathian Mountains weaving through it, Romania is the custodian of Europe's last great wilderness area, its largest remaining forest, and 2/3 of its surviving alpha predators. As well as native Romanians, it is home to a Saxon and Hungarian culture, Roma, Aroman, Lipovan, and many more disparate peoples who have been united by the borders of a nation that stretches from the edge of Serbia, Hungary, and the Ukraine to the very mouth of the Danube. Here, Europe's largest wetland fans out into the Black Sea and provides the country with yet another vast, priceless, and fragile ecosystem, a haven for wild birds, interwoven with countless waterways, reed beds and lakes that meander for over 3,000 square kilometers. Inland, Romania is rich with ancient villages, majestic national parks, ruined castles, historic cities, and a legacy that dates back thousands of years. But increasingly, this unique country's natural and cultural heritage is under threat from reckless development and a race to modernize, which is often destroying the very things that could ensure prosperity and a sustainable livelihood for generations to come. Over the next 8 episodes, I will be embarking on a road trip through Romania's 8 historic regions, discovering fabulous treasures, natural wonders, medieval marvels, mouth-watering dishes, and the people that make this one of the warmest and most hospitable countries in the world. En route, I will be picking up some sensational recipes, hearing songs and tunes that have almost been forgotten, and meeting a handful of people that still remember and preserve them. We will also be finding out how this hugely misunderstood country is emerging from post-communist chaos and identifying some of the challenges it faces and how tourism could provide one of its best hopes for the future. Welcome back. This week, we are exploring Romania's largest and most iconic region, mistaken by many Americans and others as a country in its own right. In fact, Transylvania is a name that most of the Western world still associates with Dracula, werewolves, and folk legend. But this land beyond the forest defies all preconceptions and remains one of the most culturally important and beautiful parts of Eastern Europe. We commence our journey an hour and a half south of Cluj-Napoca, deep in the Upper Sun Hills, above the small town of Silciua. Here, perched on a mountaintop, is an eco-village that some writers are describing as Romania's very own Shangri-La. I wanted to see if the tales were true, and whether the so-called Raven's Nest might make a good role model for rural tourism. The only issue was getting there.
Well, I was warned that Raven's Nest was a bit remote, but I wasn't expecting this. I think I should have brought a scrambler instead of a road bike. However, we shall try and get there. I may not make it. Adrian.
Hey, Charlie.
Hi.
Welcome to the nest.
Thank you very much.
Actually, it's the first Harley to make it here.
You don't have
Congratulations.
hordes of Harley-Davidsons coming here.
We're a little bit off the track.
You are a bit off the track.
Good to have you here.
This is just, what a location. Seriously.
Thank you.
How on earth did you manage to get everything up here?
Well, with a 4x4 and a lot of patience. 5 years.
5 years.
Patience, to be more exact.
Must feel still like a dream.
Well, it is,
Yeah.
actually.
What a beautiful room.
Thank you. This is the man who painted it.
Hey.
This is Silvio.
Silvio, Charlie.
Nice to meet you.
Had a been here?
Cheers.
It feels slightly American-Indian.
Might be, because there are actually traditional roots everywhere. And you have here the symbols of water, of sun, of fertility, or...
The four elements.
Exactly.
It's fascinating because it puts a good case for one universal cradle of civilization, doesn't it, originally?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I've seen drawings and paintings like this in South America, in Peru, and all sorts of places.
Even if you take a deep look, actually, in the Romanian carpet models and designings, you can find...
You find themes of that as well.
Exactly.
Obviously, it's a painstaking process.
So, fortunately, it's an ongoing project.
Yeah. So you need to spend a lot of time here. Eke it out for another couple of years, if I were you.
Yeah, I hope so.
I'm imagining that this is probably palinka, judging by the prune on the side.
And this is a dry prune.
Is this a palinka to slug, or is it a palinka to sip?
Well, you can do it both ways.
Okay.
But
So,
I would do it my way.
right.
First.
I'll just watch you first.
Yeah, all right.
Right, that's my answer.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks. Oh, that'll put hairs on your chest. Very nice. So it's like having a tequila with a slice of lemon, but you have palinka with a plum afterwards.
Same, but it's
sweetener.
our way.
It's a sweetener.
Yep.
Very nice. Noroc.
Sănătate.
Sănătate.
Let me show you where your room is.
Yeah.
And then when you come back, I have a surprise for you.
Fantastic. We like surprises. Look at that view. What a beautiful room. I think I've got the best seat in the house.
Having dropped my bags, I joined Addy for the grand tour.
I love the hammocks.
Actually, the idea is to make them a chilling place for the tourists that came here at Raven's Nest.
So you can just find your own space.
Just
and come and
relax,
chill out.
read a book, enjoy the sounds of nature, and
Take it
have a
all in.
nap. Yeah.
How did you find this place? Seriously?
I was a student 15 years ago. I was hiking through these mountains, and I found this spot, and I said, in a few years...
I need to be here. I need to be here.
I need to own this. I need to be here. I need to make a good thing.
But how do you go about doing that? I mean, it must have been tricky to find even who owned the land.
Romanian bureaucracy, yes, it was hard, but we finally made it, and after that, we realized that we can start a great project.
So where are we going? I'm thinking a viewpoint, right?
Well, there's a viewpoint, yes, and you're gonna love it. It's actually our surprise that we have here. That is a surprise.
I was expecting something good, but not quite like this. You're in paradise. Do you find that some people are put off by how remote it is here?
Yes, and I tell them that's why it's called Hidden Village. It needs to be remote in order to give you the true experience that we want to provide.
And it's a good process of natural selection, because the sort of people that don't appreciate a place like this don't come, presumably.
Most of them appreciate the remoteness of this place, and they need this. They need the silence. they need the energy, and they need the intimacy that this place provides.
When I see something like this, it sort of sets a standard for other people to follow. Did you consider yourself, when you were doing this, to be creating a place that represents all that's beautiful about Romania, the tradition, the natural beauty, the forest, all these things? Or did it just happen?
No, it just happened because I think this is the right way to do it. But I hope we can be a model for other people in order to promote Romania. This is my way of showing other people my country.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there are other good ways, but people should be focused on authenticity, architecture, gastronomy.
And the natural beauty.
Yes.
I was racking my brains to try to think what I would add to this, because you always go somewhere and you think, well, you know, what's missing? And really,
Yeah.
I can't think of much. I guess maybe you could have a hot tub, you know?
Charlie, we thought about this already.
You've already
And the
considered
hot
it.
tub is right behind you.
The place you didn't show me earlier.
Yes.
That's very annoying.
Yeah.
So the one thing I thought might potentially be an improvement you've already done. Okay, fine. That's right.
That's hard. That is seriously hard.
So, welcome to Transylvania, Charlie.
What can I say? Flavours of Romania, it just keeps getting better and better.
Enjoy.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You're very good help. I know. That's it, I quit.
Raven's Nest is one of the best places to relax I've been to in Romania. After a delicious dinner, it was time to indulge in that national pastime and deeply primeval human urge to sit around a campfire, drinking beer, playing musical instruments, and making up songs and stories late into the night.
Oh, we can say, can do most everything, but I can't sing. Yeah, after 20 beers, I can sing almost anything.
The next day, I booked a mountain bike to explore the surrounding area. A feat best attempted after a hearty breakfast.
What a fantastic spread.
Bean salad, eggplant salad, baked vegetables, homemade pate, local cream cheese.
More salad. Well, moving on from the salad,
What have we got? Sausages.
bacon and eggs, the quintessential ingredients for a full English breakfast. Marvellous. There we go. Oh, just going to find some toast.
The great thing about setting off on a trip from the Raven's Nest is, at least for the first half of your journey, it's downhill all the way.
Well, it's on foot from now. Don't think I'd ride this through the thicket of bushes. I've gone too far again. I always go too far. The waterfall's 50 yards up there. Still, goes to show that even if you take the wrong way, you still find something beautiful. The river is just flowing straight into this rock. I think it's the entrance to a cave called Huda lui Papara, and no one has managed to squeeze through it from this end. I'm certainly not going to start trying now. However, for more reasons than that, you could describe this as a bottleneck, quite literally. And it's a shame. More evidence of people just chucking their rubbish into the river. Finally, I found it. About 20 yards from where I put the bike, as opposed to about a mile through forests and down cliffs and along riverbeds. Still, it was worth the trip, albeit the long way round. Look at the colours in the rocks. Pinks, blues, greys, whites. It's like a painting. I reckon there'd be gold in these hills. In fact, there is, and that is proving to be a bit of a problem.
After a long pedal back up the hill, it was time to say goodbye to the Raven's Nest and set off to explore the rest of Transylvania. Excited, recharged, but a little reluctant to leave this panoramic paradise.
Well, I don't think you need a dream catcher. It's already happened. This has to be one of the most beautiful eco-lodges I've seen in the whole of Romania, perhaps even in Europe. The attention to detail, the rooms, meticulous without being fussy. And as for the view, the location is just out of this world. I think if anyone wants to start an eco-lodge or a hotel in this country and do it right, they should come here and study the Raven's Nest for a couple of days. You could write a dissertation on this place.
It is an enchanting drive back through the hills along the Ariash River Valley, despite the odd novelty development. Turning right at Buru, we head south on a scenic road that winds down out of the hills, on its way towards Aiud. En route, it's worth stopping at Remeta, a 13th century Hungarian mining town on the edge of the Trasco Mountains, recently granted UNESCO World Heritage status. Whitewashed houses and cobbled streets make this a picturesque place to stretch your legs and watch scenes that probably haven't changed much for hundreds of years. The major difference being the influx of tourists keen to spend their money on a night or two in one of its flourishing guest houses. While some visitors arrive and leave by the coachload, this is also a delightful place to come for a long weekend hiking and exploring several ruined fortresses that lie hidden in the surrounding hills. But with too much to see and too little time, there was barely a moment to take it all in before driving on and southwards towards my next port of call, the medieval town of Alba Iulia. The history of this formidable city goes back to the Romans, when Alba Iulia, then Apulum, was the capital of Roman-occupied Dacia. This was mainly due to its proximity to gold mines in the Apuseni Hills, one of the main reasons for Trajan's desire to conquer Dacia in the first place. Following the adoption of Christianity by Stephen I, it became a key religious centre and the seat of the Roman Catholic Church in Transylvania right through the Middle Ages. At the heart of the city is the Alba Carolina citadel, constructed by Habsburgs in the 1700s and laid out with 7 bastions to form a heptagram, interestingly also a pagan symbol of magic power. The citadel has undergone extensive restoration in the last 10 years and has now become a beacon for cultural tourists visiting Transylvania. I'm here to meet one of the people behind its spectacular makeover.
Mihai.
Hello, Charlie. Welcome to Albania.
Thank you. So these guys are volunteers, yeah?
Yeah, they are all volunteers and they are doing this every Friday for the public because almost all the country knows that this is the place where Roman and Dacians meet every Friday. It's, let's say, the dynamic attraction of the city. They are the living lesson of history of each day in Alba Iulia.
It's annoying that the Romans always win, isn't it?
Yeah, I would reverse the history a little bit, but you know, as in real life, we cannot do that. But it's a pity that the Dacians are always down.
Yeah, we should see the odd Roman soldier getting winged as well, I think, possibly.
We should pay someone to lose from the Romans.
These two have to be brothers.
I can tell you for sure that they are love of the brothers can kill you sometime.
Yeah.
And it's one of the major point of attraction between these reenactment guys. They are judo instructors, if you want, trainers.
Yeah, you can tell.
Professional,
Yeah.
professional. And do all this for the love and happiness of the children.
Yeah, the kids must love this. Yeah.
Don't forget, it's a reenactment, but it is a show in the end.
I guess, you know, the amphitheatre, the gladiators, the slaves, I mean, it all happened here, didn't it?
Yeah, we try to re-establish the history as it was, and these volunteers do their best for that.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's
informative.
Alba Iulia, it is quite a mirror of that historical times, or if you want less than that, it's a time machine. Okay, Charlie, I think that we should follow history by foot now.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We've seen
Let's
the show.
go.
Let's walk. The commentator was saying this is an actual temple right under our feet, these foundations.
Yes, here was discovered the ruins of the first Christian temple from the whole place of Romania.
Yeah.
So it is in a period of conservation, but we are deeply sure that in the future we're going to display it.
So they were literally just filled in after they were discovered, protected, and then covered over until the money's available.
Yes. We have to wait just for another opportunity to get the right finances for this.
Tell me a little bit about the restoration work, because you were heavily involved in all of that, weren't you?
The citadel was forbidden just because of the fact that the military was inside the ancient walls and the access was not allowed for anybody. After we achieved to gain all the territory from the military, and we invested European money, which was deeply great because otherwise would have taken more than 10 years for us to
raise
do
the
this.
funds to do this.
Yes, to raise the funds.
There's still a fair amount of work to do here, isn't there?
It is. It never ends because the history, it never ends itself. And we are still aiming for another funds and another opportunities to continue what we propose to do here in Alba Iulia.
Yeah. How do you go about making sure that you do get it historically accurate when you undertake a project like this?
We take into consideration the advices of the scientists who observed as the historical facts were, and we tried as much as possible to respect
stick to those. Yeah.
Yes, to stick to that. Alba Iulia doesn't mean only the citadel.
No.
It is developing the city.
I think that's the point. It's not just about the citadel, is it? It's about actually bringing tourists here to look at it, but also giving them reasons to stay and to spend the night here and to therefore put their money back into the local economy.
Probably. But you should consider this. All that have been done here was done for the citizens of Alba Iulia.
The residents.
The residents. It was made for them first. And second, we are looking at it as a touristic tool. Yeah. And yes, in a very short time, Alba Iulia will mean something on the European historical touristic maps.
At midday every Friday and Saturday, from May to September, you can also watch the changing of the guard, a ritual dating back to the Austrian Empire. For half an hour, cavalry and artillery divisions march through the streets of the citadel, before gathering on the ramparts to finish with a bang.
I have to say, it's a far cry from the changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace, but arguably more spectacular, although I do have a slight ringing in my ears. Sorry to interrupt. I think the point is that restoration is a tricky business. It's not always possible to get it exactly right, but they've done a pretty good job, and in 5 years, with, you know, the funds available, and the people here are working hard to recreate this citadel in its former glory. So, thumbs up to Alba Iulia.
South of Alba Iulia, and the horizon climbs towards the clouds. Here, the Carpathians are at their most breathtaking, with the Făgăraș, Părâng, and distant Retezat mountains providing an almost impassable barrier between north and southwest Romania. While there are, of course, trunk roads and highways skirting these misty peaks, several of the most beautiful roads weave right through them. I've taken time out from my cultural tour to explore the Transalpina, or King's Road, that links Transylvania with Oltenia to the south. Being a route famous for its serpentine coils and breathtaking views, I asked a couple of fellow bikers from Sibiu to join me for the ride.
Thank you so much. Oh, hey. Easy to find.
Yeah.
Obvious marker points. This is a nice spot. I guess it's much more spectacular further up.
You will see.
Yeah?
It's one of the most spectacular bike roads in Europe. Let's do this.
Well, there's a new dance, babe, that's going around. Everybody's doing it, from grown-ups down. You don't move your head, you don't move your hand, you don't move your lips.
What a great ride. That was a lot of fun. Thank you so much. We said we'd get to the lake, and here we are. Sadly, no time to go to the top.
And not enough gas.
And not enough gas. It's another 80k up and 80 kilometers back down. So this is where the buck stops, and also would be in Oltenia. And we've already been to Oltenia. So, Ovidio, you take tours around Romania by bike. How does that work?
It works good because we're lucky. We are in the heart of Transylvania. Every cool destination around it's like, let's say, like 80, 100 kilometers from Sibiu. And this is like a very nice one-day ride, like 200 kilometers with some breaks, visit some castles or fortified church. The road is nice, have some traditional food. You have everything. You have the lake, you have the river, the mountains.
Except a gas station halfway up.
Yeah, this is a bit of more adrenaline than we need.
Yeah. Well, we've got enough gas to make it back down the hill, I think. So is it like a bikers club in Sibiu?
Yeah, there are some bikers clubs. The scene is quite big now and goes in different directions.
What about you, Paul? What do you actually do when you're not on your bike?
When I'm not on my bike, I work at a tech company, and it leaves me a lot of free time. And I just tour around the country with my friends.
I think it's a really, really great way to experience the Romanian countryside. It is a slight risk with the roads, I guess.
You see today, everything is flat and sometime, bam, a hole.
20 years ago, the roads were worse, but now it's getting better and better. You see this road here, and it's
beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It's a joy to be on a bike.
Yeah, to ride it.
Yeah, and Romanian drivers are not as bad as people say.
No, they're not that bad.
And the biodiversity, I've seen a lot of biodiversity on my windshield. I think there must be about 100 different varieties of insect life that I've squashed on my way up here. And Ovidio, you are a tattoo artist.
Yes.
So you design your own tattoos as well, and you draw them and create the art?
Yes, I travel a lot in Europe on the tattoo conventions, and I try to find new horizons for me because my job was almost illegal and doesn't exist a few years ago.
Yeah.
And especially in the time where the border was closed for us. You know, tattoos in the communist time and after the communist time was something like a stigma, but not anymore.
Yeah, well, it seems to have gone the other way now in Romania.
Yeah, sure, now it's almost in the mainstream.
So if I come to you with some ideas,
yes,
then you can help me distill them into a symbol or a drawing.
Yes, definitely. If you come with the idea, then I'm the one who make it real.
Well, let's head back to Sibiu, have a beer, and I'll have a think about that.
Better let's think about first and then have the beer.
Yeah. Yes, that's a crucial mistake, is to have a beer and then think it's a great idea for a tattoo. OK, well, thank you for taking me up here. I feel like we're on the roof of the world.
Yeah, thank you for bringing us here. We need people like you guys to remember us, what a beautiful treasure we have here in Romania.
Let's hope it continues to be so, because in many areas it's under threat.
Yes, you see the wood trucks, there are a lot, especially in the night.
Yeah, that's when they come through. Well, I'm pleased to say that there haven't been so many on this trip, and this area is mostly protected, isn't it?
Yes, but I cannot say the same about the villages, which are not on the main streets.
Well, we're going to be seeing more of that later in the series. But for now, let's go back down to Sibiu and have ourselves a beer.
Okay.
Maybe talk about tattoos first and then
okay. Let's do this.
Oh, my leg. Love to see you. Take it easy.
The next leg of my journey takes me towards the heart of Saxon Transylvania. This is an area famed for its historic villages and fortified churches and citadels. A place largely defined by the German-speaking peoples who were invited here in the mid-12th century to defend Hungary's eastern borders against foreign invaders. While relatively few Saxons remain, their architectural legacy serves as a magnet for cultural tourists who pay sumptuously to experience Transylvania's so-called medieval landscapes. Unfortunately, this landscape is now under threat, as ancient villages lose more and more of their traditional houses to lack of subsidies, neglect, or insensitive redevelopment. The old, russet-tiled rooftops are almost entirely disappearing in many places, replaced by modern industrial materials. I have come here to the village of Aposh to see how one association, run by friend and fellow conservationist Eugen Vaida, is helping to combat this trend by setting up traditional tile factories and training local people to once again produce and sell the genuine article.
Long trip.
It's lovely to see it operational, because you've been closed over the winter.
Yes, it has been closed for 5 months. It's just seasonal.
So how's demand?
Demand is very high, and we have sold out last year and also this one, all the tiles before even starting the production.
Do you think people are waking up to the importance of putting traditional tiles back
Definitely,
on
because
traditional
everyone
roofs?
wants to have also the history and the story behind their products. This tiles integrates perfectly on the monument. We have foreigners who buy, also Romanians from the towns who are making guest house. They are buying these tiles, but also villagers. Just a few, not so many, but still we also have villagers who buy.
So they're not much more expensive than buying industrial tiles that you constantly see advertised everywhere?
They're quite similar, I would say. It's just 10% more because each handmade product is almost double or triple, but these are quite at the same price.
It's still a big sum of money for someone who is living in an old house that they need to fix the roof.
Yes, and you need support from the state, definitely. If you want to preserve the landscape and you have rules, you should also get the help.
People don't want to come to these villages and see ugly modern roofs and old buildings.
Definitely.
You lose that timelessness, don't you?
Exactly, but we should not do just for tourists. It's good income and we should promote this, but it's also about part of our local identity because it's so different. Transylvania is so different and it's multicultural.
How important is it to do everything this traditional way? Because it's quite a long process to create the tiles.
Yes, but it's very important because it's preserving the landscape, the roof landscape of Transylvania, which are unique all over the world. And this is also why it's called the last medieval corner of Europe, because it's also about the landscape. It's not just about the nature. Each step is needed because otherwise you're not doing a high-quality tile. You need time to dry them, you need the good clay to be mixed, you need the good firing, and, you know, they say after 10 years you're a good beginner. So you need this experience.
There's a huge amount of skill involved.
Yes, exactly.
Do they source the clay locally?
Yeah, we have here just 200 meters the hill.
Whoa. The clay is squeezing out.
Yeah.
Like cream. So you wet it and then
you
it
put
goes
the water
round.
inside, it's go around, it's mixing it and comes out on the bottom. And here he also has some mixed clay with water, so it's not so dry, otherwise you cannot mix it so fast.
No, sure. What other projects have you got going? I mean, this is a big concern, I know, and something
Tiles
you've
is a big
helped
concern,
start.
but we also conservation and training courses. And we also want to preserve monuments. We have over 600 monuments which are in a stage of collapse and pre-collapse. Just in southern Transylvania, we want to make a pilot project, which then different stakeholders should take over in other regions.
So basically, create once again an example that can be rolled out across the country.
It's called the Ambulance for Monuments.
Is it an actual ambulance?
It is. Well, it has tools. It has a place for
Do you have a light at the top?
No, actually, it's not just calling the one. If someone gives free materials, we are doing the job. So we need a donor for materials at least, so we can intervene. This is the rule. Otherwise, it's not sustainable. If we just go around and...
So you provide the labour force to come and restore and repair these?
And also the documentation. And then we get the permits for it.
So maybe you can stop more of these beautiful old churches falling down and the towers?
Yes, we focus on Saxon and Romanian churches.
Yeah, it's a nice idea.
Before leaving the area, I drove to the village of Alcerna to track down the architect's ambulance, which was parked outside the local fortified church, precariously perched on a hill and facing imminent collapse. Or at least it would be, if it were not for these guys.
This is a typical example of a monument that, without help, is on the verge of falling down. So it's a case of prioritising the most urgent patients and rushing to their rescue before the bell tolls. What we need, of course, is hundreds of schemes like this, all helping all the buildings all over Romania, because there are so many, as we've seen so far in this series, that desperately need attention. And while we're here, there's a perfect example of a house that's been well restored behind me using traditionally made tiles. Next to it is another building, probably same sort of date, but they've put modern industrial tiles on the roof. So, which do you think looks more fitting in a setting like this? No prizes for guessing.
Fresh air is renowned for giving one an appetite, so it was fortunate that a short drive away, in the village of Ilimbav, there was a banquet being prepared. As a way of bringing tourists together with local producers, a foundation called My Transylvania organises regular gastronomic brunches in villages across the region. I was lucky enough to be invited to join them. But I also wanted to come here to grab some culinary tips from top Sibiu chef Ion Bebeselia, who was lending his expertise to the occasion by preparing something of his own devising.
Hi Charlie, welcome to this great British summer.
Yes, I'm used to this.
So here we have really traditional recipes. Yeah. Both are pork recipes. That's a stew done just after the pork was sacrificed, and it's in honor of the pork.
So it's the first thing you prepare after you've slaughtered your pig?
Yes. And here it's a goulash with some Hungarian influences.
But with pork, not beef?
With pork, yes, not beef.
So these would have been prepared by the Saxons for hundreds of years?
Saxons and Romanians, like the inhabitants from this region.
So your kitchen, as it were, is over there?
Yes.
OK. And what are you going to be cooking?
I'm cooking a traditional modern recipe. Yeah. It's like I took parts from a lot of recipes and make one. We are using neck of pork because it's very tasty with a lot of fat and will be melted, and with apple sauce. So here we have the lovely piece of meat.
Oh, that looks gorgeous. How long have you slow cooked it?
Around 2.5 hours, just to make a nice crust to seal it. First, we're gonna put the oil. We will cut the onion and the garlic.
You crush the garlic?
Yes.
Brings up
crush
flavor.
it to bring up the flavor, and then we'll cut it very small. Some salt, a little bit of pepper.
Okay. It's quite a lot of pepper.
Yes, and the cream will take the hottest. And also because it's nice to be a little bit spicy.
Yeah, spicy, yeah.
So now we put the thyme, going very well with the apples.
So most of these ingredients are just things that people can find in their garden.
This is the idea, that we are trying to use more our product.
It's a great shame that Romania has so many amazing vegetables and fruit and herbs, and yet you find in supermarkets constantly foreign produce.
Yes, this is the supermarket's policy. They need to know that they will have the apples all year round. I think that also people have to start to go in the farmer's market to buy their vegetables and fruits, and to start to be used with apple of all shapes, and they are not perfect.
But they're organic. Can they taste better, actually?
Yes. When I was a kid, I was growing at my grandparents in the village, like sourcing my own food, going to take the potatoes out of the ground and then make some French fries or a stew or something like this.
This could be a good idea, getting groups of people together so they can supply the supermarkets. And that way you can actually have organic Romanian vegetables and fruit on the shelves.
It will be really great. We are starting to put together some small producer to be able to source the restaurants with some really great ingredients.
That's a fantastic idea.
Now the onions are starting to caramelize.
Caramelize.
We have to add some wine, just a little bit, apple juice in the pan. So we are going to put the cream. We put the cherry plum to give a little bit of sourness. You can taste sauce now, how it is.
Very sweet. Very sweet.
Yes. And we're going to put a teaspoon of this paste. And the magic will happen soon.
It's alchemy.
Yes.
Let's try that again now and see how it's changed. Completely different. Real tang to it with the cherry.
And now we have to chop the apples.
Finally, we've got some sun.
Yes. Now we are back in Romania. We will let them a few minutes just to become a little bit soft.
Looking very, very nice.
Now the meat has to be done.
Beautiful. It looks cooked to perfection.
Okay, so now we're gonna serve it. Now we're gonna put the sauce over the meat. Really nice looking sauce.
Beautiful.
I think 2 pieces of apples are enough. Let's dive in, let's see. We're cutting really easy, the meat.
Oh, sensational. Felicitar.
Thank you. It's messy.
It's actually quite a complex flavour. You've got a lot of different things going on with that.
You have all the flavors that you need. You have a little bit of spicy, you have sour, you have sweet.
So it's another recipe you can do yourself, which is what we're all about. So many, many thanks.
Welcome.
And some more. I don't know if that's my stomach or the thunder. I think we're going to get wet again.
With storms lashing the horizon, we must take a rain check on the rest of our journey around this fairy tale region, which, being so big and exhaustively beautiful, has defied all our efforts to fit it into one episode. So join us again next week, when we will be completing our grand tour of Transylvania and following more roads less travelled.